Looks like we've got some raccoon tracks in the snow here. That's a sign of spring. Bonjour everyone, Nigel Saunders here. Today I'll be repotting my hybrid French lilac. I'll be sorting out the roots and getting it into bonsai soil. The French lilac is in a giant pot for the size of the tree, so I'll have to do a lot of reducing of the root mass, and I think I'll pot it into a smaller pot, something like this. I'm going to start today by getting it out of the pot. So I'll just try and loosen it up. Check there's no roots growing out the bottom. That looks good. Okay, it should slip out. So here I go. Yeah, it's coming out quite easily. There we go. Lots of roots in the pot, but it's not overly pot bound, which is good. It'll make it easier to comb out the root base. All right, I'll get started. I'll get my root rake out and begin combing out the soil. So here I go. Looks like it's in a typical garden soil. I notice there is some surface roots here, quite thick. So far everything's looking good. The roots are looking good, they're nice and healthy. I'm not seeing any problems, which is always good. So I'm just gently raking away the soil here, combing out the roots in a nice radial pattern. It'll probably take quite a while to get this all combed out, but I'll get there. I can already see there's a few crossing roots here that don't look so good, that'll have to be pruned. Big chunks of bark in there. It is a beautiful day today. T-shirt weather outside. Kind of the first day that it's just warmed up really nicely. Sunny. You never know what the root base is going to be like on some of these nursery trees. You don't know how deeply the tree is planted in the pot. You don't know if it's, if there's ugly grafts or anything. It's kind of a bit of a gamble. If you can buy a tree from a bonsai nursery, your chances of having a good root system are much better than buying nursery stock. But the nearest bonsai nursery to me is many hours away. So when I see something on sale at a nursery, a regular nursery, sometimes it's worth taking a chance. And if it's a horrible root system, you can always work it, keep working on it, and you can get it pretty good. I think the bonsai soil will definitely help this tree. I mean, the soil wasn't too bad, but it was held it a little too much water, I think. Now, I think I'm going to just wet the root system down. I don't want it drying out in the sun here. I'll get my handy dandy red watering can. Just give a light misting to all the roots to keep them nice and moist. That should do it. Thanks to Blue Jay Bonsai for that watering can. Awesome little one. Still a lot of soil here. So I'm just starting on the bottom now, trying to kind of comb out the middle of the root mass here. Most of the roots kind of grew on the outside, kind of on the outside of the pot, not too much in the interior here, which is good. It'll make it a lot easier root pruning. to get that root base flat on the bottom. So lilacs, they grow roots pretty easily. It's pretty easy to propagate them from cuttings. So that usually means you can do quite a reduction in the root mass and the tree will still survive and live, no problems. Which is something I may have to do today, is quite a reduction in the root base. I've already combed out a lot of the roots. I'm left with a pretty good root system here. Lots of nice fine fibrous roots. Okay, I think the next step, I need to wash the root system. Get rid of all this old soil, and then I see exactly what's going on. There were a few roots on the bottom here that were a bit rotted, and that's probably because of the moisture level of the soil. Or it was pruned before it was put in this pot quite severely. Okay, time to wash out the root system. All right, I've got my rake here just in case I need it to rake out some sections of the roots, just in case there's some soil kind of clumped up in there. So I'll just work away, removing all the old soil from the root base. Now I noticed that the roots haven't actively started growing, so these are the roots, all these roots are from last year's growth, so that's good. It's good timing. The buds are just starting to break. Perfect time for repotting a tree. So I think that's good and cleaned out. Maybe when I remove some of these roots I can get some of the soil out of this area, but right now it's all compacted in. The roots are all kind of twisting around. So yeah, let's get the tree up on the table and start the root pruning. Here's a look at the root system all washed up. So I'm going to start the pruning. There's a root here that sticks up, curves around, kind of arches over. I want all my roots to flow from the trunk down into the soil. I don't want them lifting up like that, so that's going to be pruned off like that. There's two roots here that cross each other. They like cross fingers. I never liked that look. I'm going to try and untangle them, but if they don't untangle nicely, then you have to prune one of them off. That's not too bad. Now they are, you can see it goes from here, the root base, all the way out here. It's the same diameter. There's no change of taper. There's no change of direction. And there's no it doesn't divide. So I need to prune it off quite short. So I'm going to go right back to here, like that. So there's that root gone. This other one that was crossing, there's part of it that goes down. So I'm going to remove that lower part, like that. This one's too long. I'm going to prune that off shorter. This one's too long. We'll prune that off shorter too. So I always treat the roots just like the branch structure up top. You want, change of direction, taper, and ramification. You don't want long, straight roots. So here's one that kind of goes absolutely horizontal, then it dives down. It's not the worst root in the world, but in front of it is one here. The radial direction is here, and it's kinked way over here. I never like that. I want my roots to flow down, so that has to be removed. So here I go. And it really curls quite horribly. So I gotta get that there. It's that root off. And then I think this one just sticks up too high. All the other roots are down at this plane, and this one's just a little high. I've got to remove it. It just doesn't flow. So here I go. that's gone. Trim some of these little ones off here. They're just too high too. So now you can see it flows down from the trunk, it flows down nicely into the soil, which really makes, you know, a nice looking root base. Now there's something going on here. I just got to figure out what's going on. There's some tangled roots here. Okay, I'm just going to rewash this section. I got a lot of soil out of that area, so I'll be right back. Okay, I am back. So you can see there's a root that starts from somewhere here. It kind of goes in a funny direction, and it curls around the base of the tree. So that has to be removed. And I've got to see where it starts from. It starts way, way back. Oh, that root just broke off. Okay. Whoops. Just trim that nice. Yeah, that root starts way back here. It's a thick one that goes down. Must have hit the bottom of the pot, and then it circles all the way around here. So a terrible root, and has to come off. So I'm going to prune that away using my Greenwood bonsai pruners. So I'm just going to prune it off flush here. It's tough. There we go. And that should all come off now. There it is. Look at that root. Holy. Okay. So I'm not left with a whole lot, but I am left with nice flare, which is very important. And as I said, these lilacs, they like to grow roots. So let's just do a little pruning of some of these longer ones, like that. And I think I can prune some of these dead ones back here. So my root base is pretty flat on the bottom. That's looking good. There's another root up here I can prune off. Just getting some of that moss off. There's a dead root here I can prune off. And I think that's it. I'll rewash it. And that is my root system, which is pretty meager right now, but it's all looking good. So a lot of root taken off today. There's my root base. I took a lot of roots off, but sometimes, you know, the more roots you take off, the higher risk there is of the tree dying. But sometimes, like in this case, if the tree lives, the reward is worth it because you'll get a start of a nice root system, a nice compact radial root system for the tree. And yeah, I mean, sometimes you've just got to take chances. I haven't had much time into this tree yet. It's its first root pruning. So, you know, if the tree were to die, well, I haven't lost a whole lot of work. Just some upper pruning, some top pruning, and some root pruning. It's not like, you know, 10 years down the road, then I do this to the roots. So it's better to get everything sorted out initially, taking a bit of a gamble or a chance. And if it lives, then you've got something special. If it doesn't live, well, you try again. I was a little worried that this pot might be too small for the tree, but looking at it now, I think it's just perfect. Just cutting some drainage screen for the bottom of the pot, using the Bonsai J method. Using the bottom of the pot to size my screen. This pot has a lot of drainage holes in it. You can see them all on the bottom. So that screen covers them all up, so I can put that in now. And I don't have to worry about my soil falling out the bottom of the pot. I'll get my soil in the pot now. think about there is a good level. So I'll place my tree in the pot. I'll put it right on center. And I'll just make sure my roots are combed out. Nice and radial, not crossing each other. This is, the best I can arrange them. Okay, that's looking good. Now, I'll start adding soil. And I'll work that in. All right, here I go, working it into the roots. There's not a lot of roots to, worry about working it in too much, but not too much. Okay, and I'll just tamp that soil down. That looks like a good level for the soil, and all my roots are safely in the soil. Yeah, I think that's quite nice. So next, I'll have to give the tree a water. All right, here I go with the water. And that should be good. I'll rotate the lilac around so you can see it from all angles. A big reduction to the root system of my French lilac today. Luckily, lilacs are good at rooting. They root easily from cuttings, so my tree here is maybe half cutting and half a root system on the tree. So I'll keep it well watered over the next few weeks and see how it develops. I have high confidence in it. I think it's going to survive without any problem, but time will tell. And that's all for today. I'm Nigel Saunders. Thanks for joining me in the Bonsai Zone.